Hey guys, this is Villains Demand. I'm Evan the Great, and this is JVD, and today we're bringing you an episode of Crossover Collision.
And today we are talking about combating the leader of the Foot Clan, Oroku Saki himself, the Shredder, versus the Daywalker of Marvel Comics, Blade. Now with our Crossover Collisions, we don't really just talk about these two guys going one-on-one, because in comics, environment plays a huge factor. And as always, we talk about 6 environments these guys battle in. The city streets, a city alley, a rooftop of a large building, the sewers, a jungle, and then typically what everybody talks about, a wide open area. So to start it off, we'll talk about a city street. As always, each one of these guys start about 100 foot from each other. Every fight is a brand new fight. They have no previous knowledge. There's no prep in these battles.
Nope.
So, Evan the Great, what do you think? Blade versus Shredder at a city street. We're talking city street, something like Times Square in New York. People running around trying to clear the battlefield. We got cars, scaffolding,
Is there vampires?
large buildings. I don't know. There might be. Maybe Shredder is a vampire. Who knows? But, Evan the Great, what do you think?
Oh man, and the city streets will be a fun one, because they both have Shredder's got his ninja stars and he's got his sword and he's bladed everywhere. So he's more melee combatant, but his speed and agility is insane. So he closes the distance, and so can Blade. But Blade has more of an arsenal on him. He has, like, if you watch our other videos about Blade, he has machine guns and different forms of bullets. And the problem with all the guns and stuff that I think he would have out in the open, I think Shredder, he don't care if you shoot somebody else. He's probably going to be running around the crowd trying to get a melee with Blade.
Yeah, well, and he's fast enough to block
and
bullets.
I think he can block bullets. That's my next question. So I think the range atmosphere would not really be an advantage to a Blade in this kind of setting. I don't even know if it'd be in any kind of setting, because Shredder is just as quick, I think, as Blade is, even though he's not a vampire, which is weird. But the feats that he's done. So overall, I believe this will become a melee contestant, and this is the funnest melee I think I've ever done on these crossover collisions.
Really?
I've run over in my mind different things and thought about how I think it might go, and you got one guy who can heal and he can fight very well, which is in Blade, and he is vampiric. He's very fast, he's very strong, he's a 5-tonner. His speed is quick enough to dodge bullets, and he's pretty quick. And you got, on the other hand, you got a guy who's used to fighting 4 mutated turtles at the same time.
Yeah.
And this guy can fight like 8 or 9 vampires at the same time. So they're similar in a lot of ways, except I believe that Shredder is more trained in the martial arts.
I agree with that, because
Yeah.
you have that foot style. And,
Yeah.
and it's an ancient style,
Yep.
and stuff like that. You're not typical. Most of your comic book guys typically don't know.
Yeah. So I believe that he is a better martial artist. But I also believe that Blade has the better weapons. I think his swords are adamantine, so they're fairly badass. And I think that Blade is probably, I think he's a little bit more physically gifted with being a vampire than Shredder is, but his technique is not as good. So, never thought I'd say this. I think all the cuts, scratches, and everything he would give Blade, he can heal from that stuff.
Yes.
But the impaling and stuff, he can't.
Well, impaling won't slow Blade
Yeah, it won't
down.
slow him down. And I think physically that Blade is stronger than Shredder.
Yes.
But Shredder's a better combatant, which he would outdo him in martial arts, but then Blade has the better weapons. But then his whole body on Shredder is bladed. Evan the Great draws this.
I think it's a draw.
I never thought I would say that, because it really sounds like Shredder would have an advantage. Do you really think how strong and Blade is? Like, in adamantine swords, I think that matches the martial arts level at that point. So I think it might be a draw in the streets. I could be wrong, but I think it might be.
Well, when I
But always wait until we debate a little
why
bit.
we to talk about this.
Right now I'm at the draw.
Well, obviously, I think that Blade has a huge advantage somewhat in the streets, because guns against a guy throwing shuriken at you, or
Yeah.
because Blade walks in, he's got 2 automatic weapons in his hands. starts firing at Shredder. Shredder's first is going to be automatically put on the defensive.
Yeah.
I mean, he could throw Shuriken, and he's probably got some deadly aim with him.
Yeah.
But the thing is, there's nothing that says that Blade cannot shoot those out.
Yeah.
Or who cares if he even takes them? They're not going to hurt him.
Yeah.
And they stick in him. It's not going to slow him down. Blade could possibly shoot them out of the air. So this is where you start seeing Shredder start using legit ninja attacks.
Yeah.
Yes. He's going to be dropping smoke pellets to flood the battlefield to close distance, which I would assume Blade would thrill in because I mean he likes to get up close and personal. Now my thing is Blade's not aware of this guy. He's obviously going to think he's a ninja.
Yeah.
So the question is, with Shredder's speed, is he going to think this guy is a supernatural threat? Because think about it, he is gifted with supernatural abilities, especially here with like we talked about in the IDW stuff, because he's practically gained some immortality here. Would Blade try to fight him in the way that he would think he's supernatural? So like, oh well, man, look how fast this guy is. You know, he's blocked some bullets because Shredder can't block all these bullets.
Yeah.
Not with two guns firing. I don't
could
think
Shredder sense, or could Blade sense that Shredder is different?
Well, I think he would think that due to the Shredder's speed,
because his mystic Blade's got like a mystic sense.
And I don't think Shredder could get the jump on him. No. So it's going to come down to melee, and the thing is, how does Blade perceive him? He has this supernatural sense, which I do think Shredder would set off. Because I'm picturing that we are using IDW Shredder. Because to me, he's the most badass Shredder.
And he is.
And so if he thinks he's a vampire, does where he'd apply like a sword in one hand with a stake? And I think that kind of would determine a lot in the battle. Because is he going to try to find a way to kill him supernaturally? You know what I mean? Yeah. Instead of realizing that I could just fight with both swords. Because if Shredder's coming at you, I mean, he's coming at you to hurt you. But even physically, I think he can hold his own to Blade. But it's how quick can Shredder attempt to finish him off? Because Blade's got the endurance on him. Yes. So, to me, in a prolonged fight, I could see where it would be a draw here.
I think the longer the fight goes,
it favors Blade.
But
to me, Shredder's not.
But they're so deadly, both of them.
Yeah, but Shredder is not going to look to prolong a fight. He's going to look to kill you. Yes. And I think Blade would too. But when we talked about fighting styles and close combat, and like you said, sure, Shredder is used to fighting 4 trained mutant turtles, so he's used to dealing with something stronger and faster. Yeah. And Blade is used to fighting, like you said, 8 vampires. But here's the thing: the vampires are no different for me and you. Yeah. They're just, I'm a guy with vampires. I'm super strong and I'm fast. I don't know how to fight though. So, you know, if you take in that aspect, that's an advantage for Shredder. He's used to fighting physical people multiple times, and you don't get to see that a lot with Blade. He usually fights somebody one-on-one. And when he, like you said, he fights hordes of vampires, it's not like they're trained. No. So I feel...
He's done other things besides vampires before.
Yeah, but it's usually one-on-one.
Yeah, it's one-on-one.
Like if he's fighting, for instance, this vampiric Spider-Man. That's a one-on-one fight. Yeah. Not a one-on-4 fight like we talked about Shredder with these highly trained turtles. So I kind of feel Shredder could close the gap there. He might beat him due to his skills, because I think he's far more skilled than Blade is. I think he could slightly edge him out in a fight like that. Yeah. And I do think that's more due to the wide open area of it all. Which kind of, as we're talking about this, I'm already starting to play out where I think the rest of these fights would go, but just based on that. I think in a wide open area, even though I don't think Shredder could hide from him, even when he closes ranks with him, I think it's very hard to get away from the close combat mastery that Shredder has. Yeah. Even though he is physically weaker than Blade, I think tactically he is smarter than Blade.
I agree.
And I think he has enough trickery in a close combat fight if he can bring it in close to defeat Blade. So I kind of give the edge to Shredder.
I'm still stuck on my draw stance.
Okay.
Understand your strengths and weaknesses. I feel like you said, Shredder is he's more trained. He's got more. He knows how to fight better. All that thing comes into effect, and then I think Blade has a little bit better weapons, but you don't have as many weapons. But then Shredder could beat him. But then I look at Blade's healing factor. I was like, the flashes and stuff he can heal from. The impels he can go through. But when it comes down to it, I get where you think Shredder would edge him out a little bit. I just think that if it goes a little bit into the fight, that's where I think Blade would win just on physical abilities.
Well, okay.
At that point,
but this is, and you're saying this, and I think Blade would rely too much on his healing, and Blade is a very cocky character.
Yes,
and I think once Shredder starts to hit him and realizes, wow, he's healing from this, I'm going to have to bait him to find a way to disable him.
Yeah,
I don't think Blade thinks like Blade. To me, Blade don't think like that.
No,
Blade's going to think, I'm going to beat your ass, motherfucker. You know, and Shredder would use that to his advantage. It's like a psychological
Plus,
thing.
I don't know if Shredder's ever got hit like that in his books by somebody as trained with vampire powers. Like
I agree. Well, a lot of people are like, oh yeah, well, he got beat with Splinter. Okay.
Splinter's, it's all about training when it comes to that.
Well, and it's the thing is, there's a hatred there where Shredder, if you go in the IDW series, which I love, you should read if you're listening to this. He's very focused. Yeah. But there is one thing that he always loses his cool with, and that's Splinter. Yeah. And a lot of times, and they
know each other. Yes. These guys never see each other.
Yeah, exactly. And so he's not going to lose that cool here. Yeah. And Blade's always cocky. And I think that in a close combat fight, that would be his downfall. Now, like if they fought again, in this same scenario, knowing what they just knew, it would be different. But I think that's where that's a huge disadvantage for Blade, because the guns aren't going to be a factor here. No, not here. Shredder's got enough cover to cover himself and to get this fight close, which I think that's where Blade's like, oh yeah, well, he thinks he's fooling me with these gas bombs and hiding himself because he's a ninja. Yeah, bring him on. Yeah. And I think that's a mistake.
I agree.
So you're saying a draw.
I still think it's a draw.
And I'm saying that the Shredder edges him out.
When he loses half of these battles, it's because of his cockiness. So when he wins, it's because Shredder didn't know how strong he was.
So... Alright, so we're moving on next as we take this fight from the streets to a alley. We're talking, most city alleys are like 20 foot wide, large buildings surrounding them. You've got fire escapes, some dumpsters around. What do you think, Evan the Great?
Man, this pushes them, I think. Well, you got dumpsters and stuff, but I think it limits their 360.
Their mobility?
I think it limits their mobility down a little bit, unless you're leaping off walls and stuff like that. But it's going to get I think melee is going to ensue a lot quicker in a alleyway. Even though there's stuff to hide behind, I think your mobility is not there, so it's more of a straight run. And as we talked before, Blade thinks he's a badass at all times, so he would charge Shredder, which in a weird way in the alleyway, I think by charging him instead of shooting at him and stuff first, Shredder might be able to capitalize on it, because if he's going straight forward with aggression and your agility is decreased in a short, alleyway, maybe he can capitalize on Blade's strength, because there ain't as many directions Blade can run and use his speed at.
We'll see. This is where I'm backwards from you. To me, Blade will always open up from range. Yeah. Because he's got guns.
Actually, there ain't as many to hide in the alleyway. I didn't think of that.
In range, you don't have anywhere to go. In an alley, like I said, we've always discussed this, like this 20-foot alley. There's not a lot of stuff to hide behind, and I think that's a disadvantage for Shredder with guns, because
I forgot about the guns.
He can block bullets, but he can't block that many bullets. No, he does not have a lot of places to hide in an alley. Okay, just think, even if Shredder smoke bombs himself to hide your ninja fetish. Yeah, Blade for one can sense him.
And he can see him, I think.
I don't think he can see through smoke, but here's the thing.
See through dark, so I don't know.
This is where having better agility comes in a factor for Blade, because he could literally, I'm going to jump on this fire escape. He has perfect balance silently and just waits for the smoke to dissipate. Yeah. And she could get the jump on Shredder. Because even if Shredder decided, okay, well, he's firing with guns, he's going to drop his smoke bombs, he's almost caught in a bottleneck. And I think that's where it hurts Shredder here, that he does not have the heavy range capabilities Blade has.
Yeah. Thinking of range in that way, I'm thinking of like lateral movement and stuff, but if you're confined, that's less places he's got to pull that machine gun left and right.
Yeah, so, and I mean, literally, all he's got to do is spray forward. And at a distance, at 100 foot, you don't have to really move your arms so much to spray around in such a confined space. And I think that's a huge advantage for Blade.
He unload all of his machine gun bullets. He can throw his daggers, and then they would pursue in melee combat where he still has his healing factor. I agree. I think Blade wins this.
Because even at range, bullets are going to hit Shredder. He's going to be weakened before Blade even gets on him.
He wins this for different reasons than I originally thought, but he wins it because of the range.
To me, yes, an alleyway is...
My original thought was because of his agility would be more straightforward. But
no,
when you think about the range, he's shooting at him. He's coming there. You're really pinning him down.
I mean, think about it. Blade busts into a room with vampires. He's looking to do as much damage from a range before he even closes in on.
Yeah.
I mean, that's most of your guys with ranged weaponry.
Yep.
So we go straight up one of these buildings for a brand new fight on a rooftop. You know, most of these buildings rooftops are like 80 foot around everywhere. You've got water tanks. You've got, air units up here. And it's just open air all around them. For miles and miles, you just see the cityscape. But the fight takes place on a rooftop. Knocking your opponents off is a win. No one flies here.
This is how Shredder died.
He didn't die. He just fell into a dumpster and he come back.
He did. Oh man, on a rooftop, man, I think you're more confined on top of a rooftop than in an alleyway almost. There's a little bit more stuff to hide behind, but you're up in the air. I think that Blade's power will definitely be an advantage in this. Because I think his hits can generate knockback. Where I don't think Shredder can punch Blade and knock him back.
I agree.
I think Blade wins this on the rooftop. I might be wrong. Maybe you can change my opinion, but I think on the rooftop, Blade has a strong advantage because of the force of his impact. Of his blows.
He can literally go for like a ring out, which is kind of what this is kind of set up. Because to me, Shredder gets knocked off a rooftop this high up, 30, 40 stories up, he's dead.
Blade might not be dead.
Blade, no, I don't think it's going to kill Blade. But sure, there's a lot of places to hide up here. Smoke bombs wouldn't become much of a factor. They would help Shredder move around, because this is the one thing with Shredder here is, sure, he might be super silent, but Blade can smell.
Yep.
And he can hear. To me, it's really hard to find any advantage point for Shredder up here. Like you said, heavy blows from Blade could throw him off a building. Blade could literally, if he wanted to, probably pick him up and just throw him off of a building. But yeah, I side with Blade up on a rooftop, much like
you
do. So we take it to Shredder's enemy's turf below the city streets into a sewer line.
Yeah,
and it's kind of hard to see it no different from an alley to me.
It's no different than an alley, actually. An alleyway, the only thing I can think of is you got to think of where they come from. Shredder has fought the turtles in a lot of sewers, so maybe he knows the environment better than Blade does down here.
Yeah, but he's got guns.
I don't think that's going to matter because he can't hide from him, and you're confined again, just like the alleyway. I think Blade wins just like he did in the alley.
Yeah, to me it's hard to, because like the alley, it's a confined space. It's very narrow, but there's a roof over it.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to me, Shredder can dodge and block so many bullets, but eventually he's going to get caught. Yeah. So, and I hate this, because we talk about these fights and, man, this sounds really cool, but once you start to get to the meat of an environment, the guns really are a factor.
They are right now.
Yeah.
But as we go through each one, Shredder's in these locations, just in general, he's going to need more hiding spots where he can get to Blade before he gets shot to death. And after that, when he gets into Blade, is when, if he ain't too damaged, that's when he can take over.
Yeah, but it's hard to see him not getting damaged. There's not a lot of there's not
that's the
places to
problem.
hide in the suit.
Blade is so good of a marksman, and he can see so well and smell. But anyway, let's continue.
Okay, so this fight goes from a city to the jungle.
Yep.
So, like I said, guys are 100 foot apart. Who wins?
The jungle is. I think this is more of like a city street, but with more obstacles to hide behind. More trees to hide, more ways to block fire, which kind of brings me to my original statement about where I think Shredder, anytime he has a chance, is when he has more stuff to hide behind. Mm-hmm. He cannot sneak up on Blade, but he can at least block a lot of these ammunition coming at him. This is a fight where he has a better chance. So having a better chance means he could get in melee combat quicker without getting shot to death. And that's where he would have the advantage, I think, because he ain't took any damage yet. But I don't think he has enough advantage to give him the win. I think this is also a draw. I hate saying that, but...
See, to me in the jungle, I think being a ninja requires using your environment to your advantage.
Yeah.
And there's a lot here, because here's the thing.
That's where I think he's using it to get closer.
Yes, but here's the thing. Where you think he uses to get closer, I don't. I think being a ninja, an environment like this, where literally both men can hide, is where you start to use the environment to your advantage to bait your opponent and set traps up and whatnot, because he's a ninja. He's a lot more patient. He's a lot more patient than
Blade is going to be gun-ho about it. So actually, thinking of it in that perspective, it wouldn't be him just sneaking up on Blade. It'd be Blade trying to find Shredder. Even though he can smell him, he knows where he's at.
Yes.
But while he's trying to get to him, Shredder could be putting traps and different things that will slow him down. I just don't know if it'll slow him down enough, because he can heal from a lot of the wounds he would take in a jungle.
Well, in a jungle, there's a lot of, in a city, sure, there's a lot of smells.
Yeah.
But Blade is used to fighting in a city.
Yeah.
He's not used to fighting in jungle. He's not Wolverine.
Yeah.
He's not Craven.
Yeah.
In the jungle, you've got a lot of different smells than you would in the city, because there's animals.
Yeah.
And at 100 foot, this is where Blade starts opening fire at Shredder. Shredder runs, because he's going to look to ambush him. And ambushing Blade in this type of setting, to me, is because Blade is a straightforward type of character. He's very aggressive. Where Shredder could literally bait him into a way to sever a limb, sever a leg, and even to the point where, like I said, he's the better strategist. Where he might look like, okay, I'm going to cut Blade's head off, just to make Blade move fast enough that he's going to take a leg or take a hand.
Yeah.
And the thing is, and even as we're discussing this, I think about this. Blade's got a gun in his arm. I completely forgot about that. Yeah, but the thing is, I don't like that. It's not very typical, but he has it, and but he's got guns anyway, so it's not much of a factor. But yeah, I feel that this is one of these bait areas for Shredder, and it really comes in handy for him.
Yeah.
Because to me, ninjas are masters of their environment. Like I said, Shredder here, he's been immortal. He's used to these types of fights. And I think here he could use the advantage to take Blade out. Like I said, to me, smoke bombs are very effective here in the jungle, because Blade can see in the dark. You can see in absolute darkness, but you cannot see through smoke and fog.
No, trees,
cover. And to me, that's where something really comes in handy. This type of environment really comes in handy for Shredder. And I think Shredder is smart enough, he's a good enough strategist to bait Blade in enough to defeat him.
Yeah. Baiting him in will definitely be a tactic to use I didn't think of. So, in theory, if he went on the defensive, he would definitely have the advantage. But I don't. Yeah, like you said, I don't think Shredder's going to be on the offensive, because throughout the battle he's going to start getting bullet fire.
Yeah, almost every fight he's going to be on the defensive.
So actually, I think maybe you have swayed me in the way of the Shredder.
In the way of the foot.
The way of the foot.
Because the foot is family.
And I love Shredder, by the way.
I do too, but I mean, even I'm not. It would sound like I'm really trying to find ways for him to. And to me, and the thing is, the bait here and the trap would have to be pretty precise.
Yeah.
Because if it doesn't get Blade, it's going to turn into a melee, which I think Shredder could hold his own and probably win. But
the traps would have to be enough to cause severe damage to Blade as well.
And I think they would. I don't think Shredder's going to go for a trap that's going to sit to like mildly wound you. I mean, he's not dumb. He's obviously going to see that Blade is not your typical ninja. He's going to realize that he's a powerful opponent just by watching him move. So, I think that Shredder is smart enough to set up some type of tactical advantage for the area and beat Blade in this. Now we go to a very wide open area where there's no advantage for any type of terrain. With their standard gear facing 100 foot from each other, who wins?
Oh, this is Blade.
And it's due to weapon.
It's
gun.
easy to say that.
And it's hard. And it sucks because you don't, I mean, and I hate saying it, but guns in an open area, how do you escape it?
Guns and his agility and speed outweigh, at that point, the martial arts because he's going to take damage before they get into it.
I mean, you got two automatic weapons firing at you. Like I said, you only block so much.
Yep.
And you're going to take some of that. I mean, the armor is only going to have so many bullets bounce off of it, but you're going to get snagged by bullets. He has no way to heal from that. And if Blade doesn't kill him with guns, he's going to be wounded. He's going to close ranks on him. And an injured Shredder is not too much of a match for a vampire.
Yep.
So, especially a Damphere.
Yeah.
So, I think Blade can pretty much take him in an open area. I guess you're agreed with this as well?
Yes.
So, you've got one draw. 4 wins for Blade, 1 win for Shredder. I have 4 wins for Blade, 2 wins for Shredder. So it's pretty decisively Blade, excuse me.
I'm still pretty lenient on my draw in the first encounter. I still think that one would be one where maybe you couldn't shoot him up as much because all the people and shit.
Well, there's cars, soak up bullets and whatnot. And I think once the smoke gets deployed...
But then again, I think at the melee, oh man, that's where I don't know. That's where Shredder.
Now I do have
an unwounded Shredder in melee is
very deadly. Yes. Yeah. And I don't care.
And there's so many of those that's going to be hard for him to be unwounded going in.
Yeah. Now I do have a question for you after all these, and we've talked about it on or behind the mask with Shredder. Shredder carries mutagen.
Yeah.
Now in any of these scenarios, like for instance, we talked about particularly the alley. The sewers, the open area, which I could see where this would really come to effect. He's wounded. Yeah. Would he take the mutagen? Would Shredder go that far?
But then I think Blade would take his shot of blood.
Well, the blood keeps him from being in a rage. But is it enough to change the outcome? Because think about it, Shredder...
I'm thinking movie Blade right now. The Blade powers him. I don't.
But, I mean, to me, there's no point where...
Even if he goes Super Shredder, I think it's a disadvantage.
Because he's not...
Because the only reason he even can melee him is because he's more better at martial arts.
Yeah,
he would not be at that point.
And it
would slow him down. He's already slower than Blade.
Yeah. So, I agree as well.
I think he would, and it'd make things interesting, but Blade would kill him quicker at that point.
So I guess we would be in agreement. Say if the beginning of all these fights he was taking mutagen, he would probably, where he's got to win, would lose.
Yes.
So,
I think, yeah.
So mutagen would be no factor in any of this.
Not really.
Whatsoever. But yeah, just totally dawned upon me. Blade has a gun hand.
Yep.
It transforms. Totally forgot about that. So we're very decidedly that Blade wins this pretty decidedly. So
I think it comes down to he just has powers.
He's a vampire. It's guns.
Yeah, guns, and he's a vampire. On top of that, just makes him a real threat and healing factor.
Well, you say that, but man, you got guys like Shang-Chi that are just so much more skilled than guys in Marvel. He's able to fight them.
Yeah.
So I mean, and to me, that's what you have.
Blade's fought a lot of different. Like he's fought Deadpool and different people like that.
Yeah.
Taskmaster. So he's fought some trained people. One thing I didn't say in the video, I totally forgot. I did not know Blade had a photographic memory. I read that on a couple sites. I don't know where they get it from, but apparently he does. Like if he sees something, he remembers it. And I think it has to do with how long he's been on the world, I guess. He's learned to use his
that could be anybody. It's not a photographic memory like Taskmaster.
Yeah. It's not like that.
Yeah, Blade. We were pretty decided here.
Yep.
Pretty handedly wins this. But this has been Crossover Collision Shredder versus Blade. For those of Man, I'm JVD.
I'm Evan the Great.
Keep reading, guys.